Fisher-Price presents Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Turn to page 1, and when you hear this sound, turn to the next page. Remember, every time you hear this sound, turn to the next page. Now turn to page 1.
Deep within each of us lie vast shadows of ancient and deep-seated fears. We spend our lifetime running from them, never realizing that it is we who cast those shadows.
You created me, Victor Frankenstein. It was you who brought me into this cruel world and then abandoned me. You wanted me to die, Frankenstein, but the blood on my hands is yours as much as mine, and so shall you perish. Goodbye, everyone.
Victor Frankenstein was saying a bittersweet farewell to his friend Clerval, his cousin Elizabeth, his little brother William, and to his father Alphonse, the owner of a large estate in Switzerland.
Have a good journey, my son, and work hard in your studies of natural science.
Much luck to you, Victor, my friend. I wish I could accompany you to further my studies, but my father needs help with the business and finds learning of little value in daily life.
You are a poet, good Clerval. Living is your learning.
And you, dearest cousin Elizabeth, how shall I survive for lack of your angelic light? Take care of my father.
Of course, Victor. Don't worry about us. But devote yourself to your work, that you may return to us that much sooner.
And so it was that at the age of 17, Victor Frankenstein departed to Ingolstadt to study natural science, never suspecting the strange journey into misery he would soon take. Victor's childhood had been peaceful and happy. His father had not been overly stern with him, and the Frankensteins were known as a family of warmth and love. And even for his first year at Ingolstadt, Victor failed to see that the outside world should be any different. The university thought Victor's previous scientific training was a little out of date, for he had mostly read the writings of ancient Romans like Cornelius Agrippa. But Victor was enthusiastic and determined, and was soon accepted by the teachers as one of the more promising students.
Remember, Victor, the ancient teachers of this science said they could perform many impossible things, and they performed nothing. But the modern masters promise very little, and yet, poring over microscopes and crucibles, they perform miracles.
Victor threw himself into learning with a consuming passion that was unusual, even for him. Often he worked in the lab all night and into the morning over books and microscopes, and although his professors admired his progress, he worried them at other times. Learning had become an obsession with Victor Frankenstein. Then, one dark night in the lab.
My dear God, this can't be. And yet, all my figures and calculations check out. But if it is true, then I have discovered the secret of life itself.
Was his discovery evil? Victor did not think so. He was a scientist, and he had been raised never to allow horror or superstition to cloud his mind.
I can give life to a man. I can, and I must. I will do it.
So Victor set about his grim work. One night he went to the graveyard. By the light of the moon, he dug up a freshly buried body.
Ah, good. This one was strong. He will do fine.
He carried the body back to the small laboratory which he had made in one of his rooms. There he could work in privacy and secrecy until he was successful. Success, he had no doubt, would come. Night and day, Victor worked to bring the body back to life, He made hundreds of small, complicated surgical adjustments. Countless experiments with equipment were required, and he invented most of the equipment as he needed it. Chambers of glowing gas, heat-induced static energy, metal coils to transmit power. Any one of these experiments would have made Victor famous, yet none of it mattered, because Victor's ultimate goal would make his name remembered forever. Then one night, Victor was ready. He turned a switch, and bolts of electricity flew through the air. He pushed a second switch, and the body came to life. The body pulled off the sheet that had covered it and sat up on the laboratory table. The scene was terrifying, and Victor wondered if he had used God's own power, only to have created the devil himself.
My dear God, you are a devil. I can't stay here. It's a monster. How could I have been so mad? I have to get away. Can't get in here. I need time. Time to think. Time to rest. Rest. Rest.
Victor drifted into a feverish sleep and had a terrible dream.
Oh, stay away. Stay. Wait. You are not my monster. But who? Elizabeth! Thank God you've come. I need you. Take me away from the horror I've created. Make me forget the nightmare I have unleashed upon mankind. Elizabeth? Ah! She's turned into a skeleton! No! No! A dream. It was only a dream. Oh, God. It's him. It followed me. I cannot face it. I have to get away. Somewhere it will not find me.
Victor wasn't sure whether the creature meant any harm. It didn't matter. That terrible moment of the monster's birth had unlocked some ancient doorway in Victor's mind. And now the monster had become the symbol of all he feared. Victor ran until he collapsed against the night-moistened stone of the great church. There he slept uneasily until morning. Dazed and stiff, Victor pulled himself up. His brow was feverish. His thoughts were confused as he stumbled clumsily through the streets, trying to avoid people, especially those who might know him. He did not succeed.
Victor!
Who?
Victor! My God, can that really be you?
Clairville? Clairville, my friend.
Victor, are you all right? You look terrible.
Clairville. Yes, I know. Working too hard.
Victor! Let me carry you to your rooms. You've been working much too hard.
Clairville found Victor's rooms with little trouble. Victor had a high fever, and Clairville tried to make him comfortable. Clairville knew nothing of the previous night's events, and the misshapen monster that Victor had created did not show itself. The monster was gone, except in Victor's feverish dreams. Many weeks into the winter, Clairville watched over Victor's illness. Upon one occasion early on, he discovered the laboratory, felt both puzzled and bothered by it, and left it locked. Eventually, Victor managed the strength to pull himself through the worst of it, and arose.
Well, now, this is most certainly an improvement. Yes, I think you were rightly strong enough to read a letter which arrived here a few days past, from your father.
My father! And Elizabeth! By God, Clairville, how they must worry. We should go to see them at once.
We shall most certainly not. You are weak, and the cold would surely kill you.
Clairville convinced his reluctant friend to rest quietly through the winter. Clairville eased the family's fears with hopeful reports of Victor's improving condition and promises of soon returning home. That spring...
Victor Frankenstein?
Yes?
Letter from Geneva.
I have sad news, my son. William, sweet William, is dead.
Is dead.
He had been walking in Plan
He had been
Palais.
walking in Plan
All seemed
Palais.
peaceful and right with
All
the world.
seemed peaceful and right with the world. But darkness descended swifter than anticipated, and William failed to return. We all searched desperately until there we found him, limp and motionless, sprawled on the grass, the mark of murder still upon his tender throat.
William, murdered.
Victor, you must join your family at once. I shall remain. I shouldn't be there during your family's time of sadness, but please, give them my sympathy.
Victor left Ingolstadt, once a city of glittering promise. For him now it merely had bitter, terrible memories. He wished never to return. The journey was long and melancholy, but finally the carriage stopped. Victor was home.
Fair homeland, how do you greet your wayward son? There's a chill in the air. Is more evil yet to come? No. Nothing could be worse than the death of little William. But I feel dread nearby. I don't know where.
A storm settled over the lake that evening. As clocks chimed midnight, Victor found himself unable to sleep. He rowed across the lake to visit the place where William was murdered.
I will have no further need of this boat. I can make my way across the Plan Palais and into Geneva from the other side. Wait, a sound. Someone standing in the shadows? Who's there? Oh, no. The monster! No!
Victor ran blindly, not entirely sure what he saw was real. It couldn't be, and yet he reached the city. After changing to dry clothes and securing a carriage, he arrived at his father's.
Victor, thank you for coming. I wish it were a spirited household you were returning to, my son. Elizabeth is especially unhappy. She needs you. You see, they have found William's murderer.
What? What do you mean?
I'm afraid it is true. It was Justine, one of our most trusted servants. Elizabeth, Victor is here.
Victor, I don't believe it. Not Justine. There's no evidence. Justine is innocent.
Fear not, Elizabeth. It is ridiculous. She couldn't possibly have. It wasn't Justine. It had to be the monster I created. I am the murderer. I saw the monster by the lake. It's here, and it strangled William. That's why I know it wasn't Justine. It was the monster.
I understand how you feel, Victor, but the evidence is conclusive.
Then the evidence is wrong. Elizabeth, we shall go to see Justine at once.
But when Victor and Elizabeth saw her, Justine had admitted she was the murderer.
Justine, they said you confessed.
Yes, they made me say I did it. They said I'd never go to heaven.
Oh, Justine, don't take away my last hope. I thought you were innocent.
And innocent I am, mistress. I feel terrible about my confession. I lied. Elizabeth, I cannot remember that night. It was all so jumbled and confused in my mind. Elizabeth, help me. Please help me.
Poor dear Justine. They cannot possibly find one so pure as you guilty of so horrid a crime. Trust me. All shall be right again soon. Soon.
Soon never came. Justine was found guilty and sent to the gallows.
How cruel this world. An innocent like Justine dies, while a wretch like myself continues to live.
Driver, take us away.
The Frankenstein family left Geneva for their estate in Belle-Rive, in the shadow of Mont Blanc. Here in this restful place was some of Europe's most breathtaking countryside. But the change of scene did not lighten Victor's grief. The others were swept into their own private sadness. While Victor continued to be haunted by visions of his murderous demon, Only on the still, quiet waters of the lake did Victor find momentary peace. Upon one day, Victor, now at the depth of his depression, chose to climb the face of Mont Blanc itself, an angry, formidable mountain whose savage, howling winds might tear his weakened body from its cliff and dash him on the rocks far below. Perhaps he wished for that very occurrence. It would satisfy his need to punish himself. But it did not happen. And a mere third of the way up, cold and fatigue brought Victor to his senses. Then he saw someone in the foggy distance.
What? Someone else up here? But who? Who are you? No! It cannot be! Not you! Not here!
And why not, my creator? You've avoided me, but we are bound by ties which can only be ended by the death of one of us. Do you propose to kill me?
You deserve no less, cursed demon! Slayer of innocent children! You monster! You killed William! Justine is dead! All because of you!
Quiet! Listen to me. Don't you think I've suffered enough? Do you want to make me more miserable? I should be your beloved creation. Instead, you make me miserable for no reason. If you scorn me, what hope can I have from other men who owe me nothing? They reject and hate me. I beg you, come to my cabin. Listen to my story. Is that so much to expect?
I suppose not. Lead on.
They journeyed down the mountain to a secluded gorge where...
Here it is. It's cold and dark, but at least it's kept me comfortable, which is more than you have.
Enough! I agreed to listen. Get on with it.
Yes, very well. We shall begin. When you fled that first night, I became afraid and hid. I waited many months during your illness, afraid to approach you, until finally I left Ingolstadt. I spent some time wandering the forest land, always alone. For people always ran away from me. I never understood why. I had to learn the simplest things myself. Like what happens when you touch fire. Pain. That was something I would only really understand much later. For a while, my life was simple, my wants basic. I stayed in one place so long as it served my needs, and if it became unfriendly, I moved on to other places. I found a small village, and I longed for food and shelter. But this was not to be. A group of men surrounded me. They were carrying clubs. I did not understand their way with hatred, their ugly, brutal violence, their pain. But truly, Frankenstein, I had to fight back. I had to. And so I fled in terror and agony, cold and shelterless once more. Night came on as I wandered. Chill and darkness closed about my sore, bruised body. I was filled with dread and longing until at last I came to a small shed, which was near a neat, pleasant-looking cottage. I was about to enter. But then I remembered those men in the village. So I took shelter in the shed. It was bare. I had to sleep on straw, which I spread on the floor. But it was comfort. It was warmth and a roof. I felt safe.
Now turn the tape over to hear the rest of the story.
As soon as morning dawned, I crept from my shed to the nearby cottage. The first person I saw was an old man. He began to play an instrument whose sounds were sweeter than the voice of a nightingale. And there were others. All seemed more kind and friendly than any people I had ever known. I spent much time watching them, learning from them, learning words and names. slowly learning to make sense of these sounds they spoke. But I was always careful to remain hidden. Then one night, while looking for food, I found a bundle someone had dropped. And upon returning to my shelter, I discovered what was, to me at least, treasure. The package contained books. Through hard study, I learned to read them. They had a deep effect upon me, giving me great insight into humanity. And yet, my next find was even greater. Upon searching through clothes I had carried since my birth, as it were, I discovered your laboratory notes. At last I understood. I understood that I was not human, that I was artificial, a thing without a soul, that I was a monster. And yet, I felt, I thought, I reasoned, and I had emotions. But I had one hope, the old man. I had noticed he was blind. He would listen. So, one night, when the others were gone, I went to the cottage. But I couldn't knock. What if he hated me too? Finally...
Ah, come in, whoever you are. I am an old man, and we rarely have company out here. What is your name?
I was still afraid to speak.
Come now, please, don't be shy. We do not have much, but you are welcome to what we have.
Thank you. I am a wanderer, traveling. I happened by. I was curious. I think the old man and I might have become friends if we had had the time, but we didn't. Just then his son came home.
Father, Good God! A monster!
No! Wait,
Get away from my father, beast!
No! Stop! What is going on? Please do not hurt.
They will not listen to you, old man, and I will be bruised no more. Stay back, all of you, or I swear you will be killed. I ran, and the only thing greater than my anger was my misery. And as the two raged within me, I screamed long and loud into the night. In the morning, I returned to the cabin, cautious, fearful of being discovered. I heard voices.
We must, Father. We are left no choice. The land agent will handle the sale of this property. We must leave at once.
Do you know how I felt when I heard that, Victor? They were leaving me, leaving because of me. Do you know how that felt? The cottage would be empty. It would mean nothing. Again, rejection and desertion. Seems to happen again and again, doesn't it, Victor? But this time, I was prepared to take matters into my own hands. They were like family to me. But more, I felt as if the farm were mine as much as theirs. By their leaving, they were robbing me of that home. So did I take an oath. If this home belonged not to me, it would belong to no one. I set the cottage on fire after they left. I watched the flames spreading through the house and screamed into the night. And though I shrieked of revenge, I didn't blame them. I needed them. No, I blamed you, Frankenstein. You had made me, and you had left me. I then decided to run far from the scene of my troubles. But was there a place where I would not find new troubles? Only in the wilderness, with innocent animals as my friends. But I wanted to be with people. No matter what you believe, Victor, part of me is human. So I finally came to the village where your family lives. Then I saw William, and an idea came to me. This youth had not lived long enough to learn the prejudices of humankind. I thought I could seize the boy and educate him to be my companion. But how wrong I was. No sooner had I sprung upon the lad than he began screaming. I tried to silence him, to make him understand, but in the ensuing struggle, I strangled him. But before leaving the youth, I took a clasp from about his neck. In it was the picture of a woman most beautiful, a beauty I will never be allowed to share. And some writing on the back told me the boy, and possibly the woman, were connected with you, Herr Frankenstein. I have learned, as you can verify, ways to bring much misery to your life. And I will, unless you create another like me, a woman!
What? You can't be serious. I won't.
You must! I'm alone and miserable, but one as horrible and deformed as I would not deny me. She must be of the same species, with the same defects. This being you must create. If you agree, neither you nor any other human shall ever see us again. We shall flee to the vast wilds of South America. We shall make our bed of dry leaves, and the sun shall ripen our food. We will have each other, she and I. Mankind will have peace.
Victor didn't know what to do. He hated the idea of giving life to another monster. He wanted to say no. And yet beneath the hate, he knew he had created this creature and was responsible for its misery.
Yes, all right then. I will do it, but I will need time. Time to refresh my studies, time to prepare. And I shall do this someplace other than my native Geneva.
Oh, take all the time you need. Know that I will be watching, and most certainly will reappear when all is ready.
Cursed monster! I should destroy you!
Running out upon the snow, Victor continued to shout into the star-flecked heavens, but there was no one to hear him. London, months later. Victor, pretending to travel for his health, sought out men of science whose knowledge might help him create a woman for the monster. He was accompanied by his friend Clerval. Victor struggled and tried to begin, but although the research and consultations stimulated him, the work for which he prepared was disgusting to him. He had no inspiration. Finally, while in Scotland, Victor left Clerval, making yet another excuse, and with thoughts of William and what the monster might do to his family. Victor took a small cottage on a poor and isolated fishing island. The local villagers were neither friendly nor hostile, merely grateful for Victor's money. Mostly they left him alone, and Victor realized it was time for work to begin. Again, he dug up a freshly buried body. This time, a woman's body. Before he was driven, so much so that he had not ever noticed how dirty and horrible the work had been. But now he felt the sickness of it and fought to keep from becoming ill. He dragged the body to his cottage, while his body ached at every step. But mostly Victor was afraid the villagers might discover he was making a monster, so he was careful to cover his tracks. He worked to give the body life.
A few more adjustments, and all should be ready. Oh, God! My dear God, I can't stand it! I've got to get out of here, away from this dreadful smell. Why? Why did I ever agree to this cursed mockery? Why did I not hunt the monster down, destroy him forever? How can I bring another such creature into the world?
Why do you delay, Frankenstein?
What? No! What are you doing here? What if the villagers saw you?
They did not. I have come to see you progress.
And in that grim moment, pressure hammering at his temples, Victor realized he could not go through with his bargain.
Where are you running?
You want to see my progress? Then come and see my progress!
Victor picked up a steel knife. He raised it over the body to destroy...
My progress!
No!
The hour of my weakness is past. I shall not create you a companion in crime and destruction.
No! Stop! Fool! You have destroyed the work you began. Do you dare break your promise? I before reasoned with you, but now you deserve different treatment. You think you're miserable, but I can make you so wretched that the light of day will be hateful to you. You are my creator, But I am your master. You have chosen your fate. For now I go, but I will be with you on your wedding night.
The next dawn, Victor left in a boat. He didn't know where he was going. He lay down and slept while the boat drifted. When he finally awoke, the boat was in a stormy inlet, but in the foggy distance he spotted land and rowed the small boat towards it.
How long was I asleep? And what place is this? What? Footsteps. Has that cursed monster found me even here? No. They're peasants. They have rifles.
Seize him!
Wait! I don't understand.
You will, soon. Come.
Victor was brought to the village judge, who accused him of
Murder? I'm a total stranger here. What possible evidence could you have?
If you are innocent, you have nothing to fear. But a boat such as yours was seen last night further up the coast where the murder took place.
Victor was led into the back rooms to view the body, so the court could see what effect this might have on Victor. The dead man was
Clerval. No! My God, no!
As Victor fell to his knees, the court made its decision. Victor was guilty.
No! No!
Victor was in a coma, as though sleeping, during his first months in jail. Finally, he woke.
Well, you seem to be with us again. Then I'll bring you a visitor who's been waiting for you for some weeks.
Father!
Victor, my son, how it saddens me to see you so sickly. But come, for I've convinced the court of its grave error.
Then we are going home?
To Paris first, where you can rest and regain your health. But yes, we are going home, to be a family again, and all our misfortunes shall be behind us.
And with such careful tendings, Victor did regain his health.
You are looking well, Victor. I think we should return to Geneva soon. And I think, too, that the time has come for you to settle down and forget the past. I wish you to marry Elizabeth.
Marry Elizabeth? Yes, how I long to. And yet, how well I remember the monster's parting threat. And I know he would know. Still, I can't afford to live forever with such fear. No. Let him come, and I shall be ready. Yes, Father. Let us return to Geneva, and I shall marry my dearest Elizabeth.
And with this happy news, Victor and his father returned home.
Victor, my love.
All the past misfortunes did truly seem behind them now. And yet...
Elizabeth, there's so much I should tell you, so much you do not know. But it must wait.
Then let it wait. I am patient. Whatever I don't know about you is not important. All that matters is what I do know.
I dearly hope so, Elizabeth. I dearly hope so. For our sake.
By the power invested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife.
Our new home, Elizabeth. A present from Father. Do you like it?
Oh, yes. We even have a view over the lake. It will be just fine. Victor, is something wrong? You seem so tense.
Oh, it's nothing. I just need some rest, that's all.
But by evening...
Victor, you look so deathly. And why are your dueling pistols out?
Please, Elizabeth. I wish I could tell you what is going on. I will tell you everything in the morning. But please, for now, go up to bed.
Hours passed. The night was quiet. Victor listened to the creaking of the floorboards as he paced.
He is coming. I know him. But I will be ready. What? No! That was Elizabeth. I was wrong. He wasn't coming for me. Not me. Elizabeth! No!
Victor fell to his knees. The monster stood in the shadows near Elizabeth's lifeless body. The room had become silent. For the longest time, the monster said nothing. Then he turned back out of the shadows.
She is gone, Victor. Forever. I made you a promise. I have kept that promise.
Demon. Come back, you. I'll destroy your evil flesh. Monster!
Victor's screams echoed in the dark and woke
I'll
up nearby
destroy
villagers
you.
who searched for the monster and found nothing. For the next few months, Victor was crazed with grief. He was put in a cell alone where he screamed and screamed. During those same months, Victor's father died. Since Victor was still locked up in the cell, a few kindly townspeople gave Victor's father a proper funeral. Some time later, Victor's mind recovered, but he was still miserable. All day he stared out of the window and spoke to no one. Finally, he no longer seemed dangerous, and he was allowed to go free. He returned to the now empty family estate, thin and pale. The house was cold and silent.
Gone. All of them gone. And I, the unhappy cause of their sorrows and deaths, I still live. And he lives. Hear me, monster! Hear me! Whatever unhappy years I have left shall be used for one purpose. Your death, monster! No matter. I shall not rest until only one of us is left.
You fool. That time is now. Now we have only each other, and one of us must die. I have succeeded in making you as wretched and miserable as I. Now we shall see who lives. Victor, turn around.
You! Here! I shall kill you, demon!
Victor pursued the monster relentlessly, and still the monster led him on, never tiring, never stopping, careful to keep just out of Victor's range, yet never far enough to lose him. It was a grim and sickly game they played, up the back country of Europe, through Russia, through Siberia, to the Arctic Circle itself, and beyond. Running, running. There the stormy world of snow and ice stretched around them as far as they could see. In the end, the world faded away in harsh streaks of painful white, until at last it was only the two of them, pursuing. We do not know whether they died or lived for eternity. Only they would know, and it would only matter to them.